wildcats in such a large area is practically impossible. Everyone's spirits are at a low point. Then Miloš suddenly gets a welcome distraction. He has a new guest.
Apart from raising wild lynxes and protecting endangered species, we also devote our energies to wildcats. We have already released a few pairs in Slovakia that were born in zoos in the Czech Republic, and we plan to release more wildcats in the future. After the lynxes vanished, we took in this small wildcat and studied it because the behavior of wildcats is still very little researched. Experts predicted that it would stay with us for a month at most, but it remained for a total of 6 months, so we had a wildcat guest for half a year.
Until the 1930s, wildcats were regarded as destructive predators and were almost wiped out. Today, the wildcat is a protected species. It shares the habitat preferences of the lynx and consequently the same problem. Large, natural forests with old trees are virtually non-existent today. And there is yet another thing wildcats have in common with lynx: their fondness for water. Half a year later, her life as a house cat is over.
In the end, she probably succumbed to the charms of a male wildcat that appeared in the area one day. He hung around for about 2 weeks. Then his traces vanished, as did our wildcat.
By autumn, Miloš's patience finally wears thin. Something has to happen. He decides to build a trap to catch at least one of the lynxes, provided they are still alive and in the vicinity. He plans to briefly sedate the trapped lynx and equip it with a radio collar. Thus Miloš would be able to follow Mura or Lisa over the coming months and study their wanderings and territorial behavior. But for the time being, it's all theory. Once again, Miloš has to slog through the surrounding forests in search of any signs of life of Lisa or Mura. Many kilometers, downpours, and disappointments later, Miloš finally discovers what he has been seeking for so long. At a fallen tree, he spies definite scratch marks. They are undoubtedly from a lynx, but from which? Lila looks pleased and excited too. Does she smell her old friends? It's quite possible, since the scratch marks aren't far from the cabin. But Miloš wants to be absolutely sure. Winter and cold arrive overnight again. 6 months have passed since the two lynxes vanished into the forest. If Lisa and Mura are still alive, they would be 1.5 years old now, strong lynxes in their prime. Winter now becomes an ally. The snow records every track.
We found lynx tracks in the surrounding valleys and later near the cabin too, but we couldn't tell for sure whether they were from our lynxes. Judging by their size, it would have been quite possible.
Apparently, a lynx is sneaking around the cabin at night. Would another one dare come this close? Or was it really Lisa or Muro? Miloš sets up a camera trap near the cabin. A photo would offer the long-desired proof. The pattern of a lynx's fur is as unique as a human fingerprint, and a picture wouldn't leave the slightest doubt. So it happened that day after day, a man and his dog plodded through the snow in the middle of the Slovak winter. Miloš checks the camera daily and baits the lynxes with all kinds of delicacies, including fresh chicken, but they never come anywhere near the trap. Late one night, after Miloš has long gone to bed, what he has been waiting for so long finally happens. The moon and the stars shine brighter than ever before. A lynx prowls through the forest. He makes his way steeply downhill, crosses a small bridge, and is back in his old home.
Based on the photos, we were able to determine conclusively that it was Muro. They are beautiful pictures. That was the great reward for all our efforts at last, and proof that nothing was in vain. We successfully released the lynxes and made them capable of surviving in the wild.
The more we know about their behavior and the best methods of breeding and raising them, the easier it will be to reintroduce lynx into protected areas. For the time being, however, one accomplishment is certain. Thanks to Lisa and Muro, there are now 2 more wild lynxes in Europe's forests.